Tommie.
Do you like Damon Albarn? Do you? Any kind of into him?
I don't particularly have any strong feelings for or against him. I think he's a talented individual. I'm not into all his music, but some of his music is very, very good.
No, it's just because that whole John D album is like one of my discoveries of the lockdown. I think it's a 10-year-old album or whatever. But he's a new album out, and he's definitely into some sort of occult studies or something. But it's called The Nearer the Fountain, More Pure the Stream Flows. So I think he's gone into a Zen period.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. He's an interesting dude. Interesting. Like I kind of. He's one of those people that I like in a documentary. Probably wouldn't like, to live in a flat with, or be with, or that kind of like he's
yeah, I was similar to this because I started slagging you off there on Discord this morning about your rekindling of love for U2.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was thinking this morning, I was like, I mean that. I don't know if I can't really put my finger on why I don't like U2. If there was anyone else in the band, I'd probably really like U2. But it's just like, and I was thinking, who could you go for a pint with? Like, you couldn't go with Bono. You just couldn't. You couldn't take him like for an hour with a pint. He'd wreck your head, like.
Yeah, you would. Like, but I assume he's not full blown Bono in real life. Like, I'm sure half.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, he probably is to strangers because he has this facade of the.
You probably sit there and just not say anything, that's just kind of... The Edge seems super sound, though. He's like, I know a couple of people who've had pints with the Edge, and he says, well, number one, he can drink. And
does he wear the hat? Does he always wear the hat? Was he hiding? So, yeah. Why is he so ashamed of being bald?
I don't know.
What's the big deal, like? You know what I mean? I don't get it. Just own it, man, I'd say Larry's the coolest of them. I'd say he's sound. But he's a drummer, so he'd have, like, anger issues or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And Adam obviously just takes all the...
And then this other fella would be just like, you fuck Naomi Campbell, how did you do that? Like, play the bass,
Yeah, what first attracted you to multi-millionaire bass player Adam Clayton?
Well, I wonder, was she richer than him, though? Isn't she the richest woman of all time? No, that's Oprah, isn't it? Yeah. But Naomi Campbell would have been back in her... I don't know. I don't remember those 90s. It was too fucking off my head on.
Yeah, had cocaine and Adam Clayton. Yeah. No, I have to say, it's like since the last while, since whatever, all the kind of work doing in therapy and all the different things, the music has never sounded better to me. And I think the reason why I'm kind of, I suppose, in one sense, enjoying music I used to love. Like, I mean, I was a huge U2 fan in my teenage years. Like that and Extreme. Isn't that so weird that they were the two bands presented?
Gay.
and then Jane's Addiction, but Jane's Addiction was more kind of great. I enjoy a band that's kind of cool, so I can get away from telling people, yeah, I like Extreme and U2, and then them not talking to me ever again. But I mean, you could say much more interesting.
Try and praise yourself. I was a hipster emo. That's what I was, or emo hipster. I was emo way before emo came along. Way before.
Yeah, I still am a bit emo. I have to be. But I think what's happening is that kind of, when you go through, say the therapy and the shadow work and all that kind of stuff, and then you revisit, in a sense, songs, they're different because they don't have, like, say, the feelings you had around them. You don't have your baggage. You don't have, and you can just, there's an appreciation of, like, in a sense, the same song but hearing it in a different way or something.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, of all the things that recently, like, the music is just, I don't know, it just sounds so much better. It's like unbelievable. It's ridiculous, like. Just like sitting there, just going, holy fuck, listen to that bass line. That's amazing. Not that I was never, I suppose, unappreciative of that kind of stuff, but it's kind of, I don't know, seems to have upped the level or something. Long may not last, because...
Is it any different when you're playing music?
Same well, I'll tell you, that's an interesting thing, because I just say that, I'd say listening to music now probably has the same level that playing music does. So if that makes sense, when you've gigged and stuff like that, so you know that kind of that feeling that you only get with gigging. I was kind of go, well, I'm kind of getting that listening to music now, which is a bit intense. But so what, if I gigged now, would it be just like, I won with the universe, with 6 people in the audience in a bubble and showing the vaccination cards. Yeah.
I think I find hard with, like, I fucking 4 or 5 fucking guitars up here, kind of thing, keyboard and that, and I'm like, I just find it impossible to, not impossible, but it's just, I don't get as much what am I trying to say? Do you know when you're in a rehearsal space and it's just 3 or 4 of you, and the room is fucking, it's alive, It is. There's something in it. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's morphic resonance, we'll call it. Resonance.
Resonance. Yeah.
Sheldrick. Yeah. Well, no, that's totally different. But like, it's only kind of a cool name for it. There's this something. There's this energy that's like, oh, this is something great is going on here. We're all being creative and we're all kind of latching onto something. He makes a cool riff. I add something to it. He comes up with a different drum beat that comes to it, and it's just like, wow, the fucking power of.
Yeah,
I don't know, connection or something.
Odd that you say that because there's a great YouTube documentary talking with them recording Act On Baby, and they have recordings because they record everything, all the sessions, whatever. But they have the moment that the song one arrives in the room,
right?
And everyone notice, go, oh, hold on, because they're in the middle of doing Mysterious Ways, and go, oh, what about this for a kind of a middle eight, and then. One, you can hear it immediately. And they all get super excited and Bono great. Get me an acoustic guitar, just to capture that thing coming into the room. And it's like, and it's like so great because every musician knows that moment has kind of, as you say, if you've been in the room with, three other sweaty men,
but it only comes for me when I'm with it's not that I have no interest in playing music on my own. It's just every now and again I pick. Like I remember when you got your new guitar and you were mad into playing again. I said, geez, I must start playing again. And I did it for a while, and then it's just kind of peters out because I have no one to play with. You know what I mean? It's like playing football on your own. Like playing football against the wall.
Yeah. I tell you, one way that I kind of counter that is because I started recording stuff. So there's a sense of a goal. Whereas if you're just playing,
okay, I get you.
If you're just like, not to do anything with it really, like stick it on Spotify and let it, that's the end of the goal. But it's something to, well, that's now I have a song, it's on Spotify, done, next. It's kind of where you're just going, all right, 5 songs, play them in my room, and then I'll be bored of them, and then don't care anymore. It's the same. I suppose it's the same with anything. You just kind of, if you can come up with some sort of little reason to do it, other than
reason
just
to do
it, or it's same thing like. Go on.
Well, 10 albums later, Spud still isn't famous.
Yeah, but if that's your reason, you'll get burnt out further.
Yeah, no, that's the wrong reason to be doing music. Fucking hell, like, unless you just want to do pop music, which is okay, fine. I don't even know what pop music is. I watched one of the Rick Beato ones where he goes through the top 10, and I was like,
that's the one where he gets really, really annoyed. What the hell are these?
I don't know what. I would say, I'm like, I wasn't getting annoyed for it. I was laughing at his annoyance, but I'm like, what happened to music? Like, it's just, what? I mean, but isn't this the thing that all fucking out fellas go through? Because we're getting out now. Let's be honest, we're both middle-aged. Come on! No, but like, middle-aged isn't 50. No, well, like, Irish fellas only live to like 75 or something. So like, we're halfway there. So like,
well into it.
Is it this the normal thing of like, modern music isn't crap. It's just like post-rock is amazing, and there's plenty of DJs and stuff doing cool stuff.
I don't know.
Pop music's awful.
I'm constantly listening to new music. YouTube,
me too, yeah.
Great recommendations. That's because we were talking before about like, using YouTube without being signed in. I go, well, no, because like most of the music comes from either YouTube or Spotify recommending me stuff. We think you like them. Some of it's some of it no. But loads of stuff that I would just never, ever, ever have found ever because it's just no one I know would be into it. It's not going to be on the radio. It's some sort of, I don't know, Swedish composer or something like that you just go, wow, that's amazing. Just loads of mine are like new release classical playlist or new release post-rock playlist, but I haven't a fucking clue who's playing. You know what I mean? I can kind of these playlists, and then if there's a number of songs, and then you notice, they're the same person, whatever. Wolf Alice is the latest one. They're huge at the minute, but it's really, really good. A couple of great songs.
Don't know. Like every now and again I put it on BBC Six or something to annoy myself or something. I don't even know why the fuck. It's a weird thing. It's like there's a nicer thing with radio because you don't get to choose it, even though it's the same as a Spotify playlist. You don't choose it, but I don't know. There's something nice about radio until they play a complete clanger, and it's like, what are you doing?
I think there's something about radio and TV that you don't get from internet stuff or Netflix or anything like that. And I think it's a lot to do with the advertising breaks and the guy coming in between talking about what, like the old ITV thing. And tonight at 9 o'clock we were going to have. But there seems to be a connection that you just don't get with watching 10 episodes of Netflix. Because there's no break. It's all mechanical. There's no human voice. I mean, if Netflix come in every now and then, we're going, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? You can Netflix reports me as a company.
You've watched 4 Smiths documentaries this week. Are you okay?
All right,
are you all right? Like really?
Yeah, we're recommending you get out of the house for a while and maybe talk to someone. But I think at one stage you did try.
We don't care if you kill yourself, but like we will lose the subscription if you die. So
can you pay for the year first before you kill yourself? Please? Yeah. But I understand. So, like the radio thing is, there's a human element to it. Don't get with Spotify at all. Yeah. But even though if you're listening to like BBC Radio 3 and it's like the classical music or something like that, there's not that. You know, every now and again, some elder comes in and that was Beethoven from.
Isn't it? There's the Irish one. What's it? Lyric FM. He's the footballer announcer. It's mad. He normally does the football matches, and he has a classical show. Maybe he has it every day. I'm not just his name, George something. He's pretty cool actually. He's really knowledgeable about classical football. No, classical
football.
Idiot.
1996 or 1966. And,
he's great, and I haven't listened to him in a while. No, I like to mix it up and go between 6 and 6 BBC 6, and then when I get annoyed that they're not playing any Irish music because they're English and they hate us. Then I go to 8 Radio. And 8 Radio is the Irish version of 6 Radio, except they play too much Irish music. So then I get annoyed with that as well. Like, you know. But speaking of songs, the thing is, great, strong Britain, great nation, strong Britain, great nation. What the fuck?
Say you get to the songs you deserve. I mean, I don't know. That's the future we deserve. Yeah, I've heard, I didn't hear it, but I've just seen people talking about it yesterday on Facebook.
What a bizarre thing!
It's so bizarre. It's like, as I was saying to you, it's like a comedy song that someone would write to take the piss out of the opposite of
Tommy Robinson fucking hooligan supporters or whatever.
For those who don't know, the UK government have released a song that school kids have to sing on the 25th as a solidarity, as let's get the British spirit back. As you were saying, but the Scottish kids aren't at school that day.
It's the day after all the Scottish schools close for the summer.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a very obvious signal to the future of the UK. All solidarity after the Scots leave. I mean that's predictive, isn't it? That's a prophetic.
Jesus Christ! What a clusterfuck. You had fucking the leaked stuff with Boris Johnson there saying. Like Matt Hancock is his number 2. He's like Matt Hancock's fucking useless or something in these text messages.
I'm gonna have to fire him or I can't.
And then like Hancock has to come on the news and be interviewed. Like imagine the humiliation of that your boss had said you're fucking useless, and now you have to explain his private message to other people about you, and the humiliation of that. I didn't feel sorry for him at all.
I don't feel sorry for him at all. Any of it. God, it's awful that he's humiliated. It's like, can we do that more often, please? I mean, politicians in general, like, no, it's not just like him in particular.
I know, I did feel a bit sorry for him because, like, that's a hard one to take. And plus on telly, millions of people have seen you grovel and make excuses for your horrible boss who you know hates you. Like, what the heck? What a weird world we live in. It's not getting weirder. It's always been the same, but it's just mad. You know, you dip your toe in politics every now and again, and you're like, what? I was into that. What the fuck was I doing? Like, you know?
Yeah. What's the Irish radio one? News Talk? Is it News Talk radio?
News Talk, the talk radio one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cause I remember at some stage I went through for some bizarre reason. I'll get into this, and got really caught up with it, and you realise you're getting angry about things you don't give a shit about at all. And I'm talking to people about it. I go, what am I doing? Stop that. Absolutely.
Yeah, talk radio is the worst, without a doubt. Like, it just makes you annoyed, and it's taxi driver radio. You know, you're in a taxi and you always listen to it. Oh, did you hear about the government? Sorry, I am not the English speaker. Oh, where are you from, buddy? Poland? I'm like, fuck.
I can speak Polish. No.
You know, hey, you watching these? You put up something about Rebel Wisdom the other day, didn't you? With the Weinstein blokes. Yeah,
that's a kind of a my kind of feel about, I suppose, the whole conspiracy thing and stuff is that there's a kind of, as we all know, I had a kind of very much jump to the other side of it, but it's kind of, I'm finding that what happens when you over kind of compensate and that kind of thing is that you tend to then kind of, it's like what we were saying now, you kind of defend stuff a bit too much than you normally would, in the sense of, like, so while pro-vaccine, you know, it's not a pandemic, all of these type of things, I've noticed that in conversations I tend to overcompensate by kind of defending governments or something like that. Like, I don't give a shit about it. I don't care, you know, but it's kind of the balance of it. So it's just like Rebel Wisdom I like, but I mean, I definitely, there's a pendulum involved in Rebel Wisdom that's very obvious, in that it's everyone who was too much into Ken Wilber in their 20s, and then Integral fell apart, and they were like, we need a new home, and defending a home with David Rebel Wisdom. But they, you know, they make some good points, and the whole I was going to say Charlie Rose, they're not, what's his name, Brian Rose popcorn thing was all great. That whole
Brian Rose stuff was great, in fairness.
But they were just they were talking about the lab leak and all that, and it's like, because Russell Brand has gone full conspiracy more or less as well, and he's, you know, getting a bit more into it. Kind of, there seems to be a twist or a change in things where stuff that was kind of, you weren't allowed to talk about because we needed to get everyone vaccinated and all that we're kind of allowed to talk about now, because I suppose the stakes aren't as high. But again, it's pure speculation, because the whole way through it, David's Rebel Wisdoms keep going, of course, we don't know this is true. But his point, I think, is more, we should be allowed to talk about it. You know, and I agree with that. I think that we should be allowed to talk about all of these things. And whether or not it's a lab leak or whatever, it's like, I don't think we're ever going to know that. But
well,
it's definitely more. Yeah, it's more likely to be a natural thing, because that's more likely. But it also seems ridiculous that the lab that was working on it was down the street from, you know. But that doesn't mean anything. Correlation is not causation, as
yeah.
you know.
Well, look, it's the video. The one I watched, there was two, and I watched the shorter one where it was mostly the skinnier of the Weinsteins. I don't know which one it is. Brett or Eric. Brett, is it?
Yeah, Brett. Yeah, the dark horse guy. Yeah.
Okay. So you've him and the other brother. So he's in it, and he's going through these possibilities that point that it might have come from a lab. But then he also says early on in the video that, well, it seems that the first sample came from coal miners, and then that was tampered with. And okay, so then that's the proof then that it came from, that is natural. Is that not enough? You know?
Right. Yeah.
Like he does said that. He says it came from 3 coal miners. And I was like, okay, well, I can end the video here now, because that's all the information I need, you know? But like, no, look, there's this thing that I've come to realise lately, and I retweeted, there's an Alan Watts thing yesterday. He said, we must completely abandon the notion of blaming the past for any kind of situation that we're in. And like, fucking man, the older I get, the more I go with that. Because like, okay, cool. Let's say it was made up in a Wuhan lab and all this terrible shit happened. Okay. And?
Yeah, no, I get
because I know because Brett Weinstein's argument of why we need to find this out is because he says that, well, you know, the if we had known that this was put together in a lab, then our reaction would have been better for it.
And no predictions of how it would spread, etc.
Hold on now, Mr. Weinstein, who lives in America. All right, your place was the last country to get hit by this. You had pretty much a 3-month head start on most other countries, and you still fucked it up. That's a terrible excuse to say, oh, well, if we had known this, then we... No, you wouldn't. Donald fucking Trump running your country, you fucking moron. Do you know? Come here. And, right, I don't want to get too ranty on this, but it did start me down a bit of a rabbit hole.
I can see the shoulders are going up.
Yeah, I am. I'm getting annoyed because I can see what the Weinsteins are at, right?
Right.
I went looking through them. Yeah, I went to incognito on mode, incognito window on YouTube, and went and just searched for Weinsteins.
Right, so you would get alerts for the next 3 weeks.
And
he's seen you like Brett Weinstein. What do you also like?
Jesus, could you imagine? Oh God Almighty! So there's this strange thing with both of them that they pop up on a lot of podcasts and interview things, where they'll talk about the zeitgeist of the day But they used it, but they get there first, okay? So, like, they were first to do cancel culture. They were first to kind of throw a few stones at Black Lives Matter. They were, and now they're getting in early with this stuff, you know? And so, I remember there was a thing when I was studying. I think there was an acronym, and it was for when you're dissecting headlines and articles. I think it was false. Excuse me. FALSE. The first one was fake. I don't remember the other ones, but the last one was E, and it stood for disgruntled employee. So you can never trust a news story if the source is a disgruntled employee. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at the Weinsteins a little bit more here. Okay, because you have the bigger guy. What's his name? Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Weinstein works for.
I'm pretty sure it's Brett.
Yeah, so he's an economist. Okay, now he works for this really evil hedge fund people that buy up stuff that isn't paid for, and then they'll sell it off they'll consolidate it and sell it off for lots of money. Your man Elon Musk's old buddy, he runs the company, and he's in this as well. But there's an interesting thing about him in that he when he was studying. Not biology, some type of evolutionary physics. That's his background's in physics. He did this thing where he got his PhD by. This is how much of a weird guy he is, right? He was studying his PhD under, let's say, Johnny Murphy, right? And Johnny Murphy had come up with this theory of quark. I don't know the ins and outs, but let's say it was quarks or something, right? So what Weinstein does is, to do his PhD, he says, no, I'm going to prove everything, your life's work wrong. Right?
Okay.
Which he didn't do, but he still got the PhD, which is bizarre. Okay, I don't really understand that. And then the next thing is that throughout his career then, for a while, he was saying that he was working on this theory of everything that, Hawkins had been working on, you know, trying to come up with. And he was bullshitting, saying he had this thing. It took him 9 years. They dated it that the first time he spoke about it, and from the time he wrote a draft, was 9 years. And when it was eventually released, it was just rubbish. Like, this is dog shit.
Okay.
This is awful. He hasn't a clue, all right? And then you look at the other Weinstein brother, and you see why he left his college that no one's ever heard of.
Essentially
Greenville High, something like that. So you know the story of that, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like he's also like they're troublemakers is what I'm getting at here. You know what I mean? So as well, like, okay, it's right to look at these things as a possibility, but you also have to see, like, these guys they're not trustworthy. They're not. And they're at this for personal gain. They're not at this because they want the world to know and be free and we'll all have knowledge. They want to line their fucking pockets. They can't trust these guys.
No,
can't.
I just have to make the point that I was more interested, not necessarily in leaks on Brett Weinstein or anything, is this notion of that. Let's talk about whatever we talk about, you know, that kind of thing, rather than the
of course, I
get
you, of course. But it's just that you know the way yourself that when, you know, like for me, I stopped watching Rebel Wisdom for a while and then I got back to him, and I really like the way that they do balance up their arguments. Like they'll have Ken Wilber, they'll have 3 interviews with him one day, and then the next day they'll have 3 interviews with the guy who fell out with Wilber, so that they get the balance up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't do that all the time, and I think they're just like they're kind of not desperate. They want to be attached with this. What's it called? Dark web intellectuals. They want to be in that.
Yeah.
So they give the Weinsteins just free pass. Yeah, say what you want, lads. Grand.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of. I don't know. There's definitely an agenda, but of course there's an agenda.
Everybody has
an agenda and all that. But there's it's that, like, Rebel Wisdom was born out of, for people who don't know, Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson's kind of fall, the original thing, and the guy who set up Rebel Wisdom did a documentary very early on about Jordan Peterson, and that kind of, I think it's called Glitch in the Matrix, right? Is that what he called it?
Yeah, that's right.
And that kind of kickstarted thing. He was a Channel 4 journalist who worked with Cathy Newman. Is that her name?
Yeah.
So he knew he was kind of gonna. He knew what was going on behind the scenes and tried to approach it and all that. And he does. I like him. I like him
too. Yeah.
He definitely. this will bite me probably in a year when it turns out he's a racist reptile or something. But he definitely seems to want to get to the truth. I feel that. But at the same time, I do think he's too enamored with certain personalities, and he's too easy to. Although personally, probably isn't, right? Maybe, but his channel certainly is, and I know he's kind of branching out. And there's other kind of members and stuff now, but he's still the face of it. But but so many people kind of come through it that you go off on a tangent with, and you find. But there's an awful lot of
sure, that fellow we were that recaptured the rapture.
That's from him.
I never would have heard of him.
I'm pretty sure Ian McGilchrist, although I hadn't heard of him, came up on that, and that's kind of what sparked their interest. A couple of different things. And now they're getting into UFOs and stuff, like, so they're they're kind of branching out a bit more. That UFO one, it was a bit ridiculous. I mean, I'm a fan of Richard Dolan as much as anyone, but it's like entertainment. He thinks there's glass structures on the moon. Like that's you have to start like with that. But the one on education was quite interesting because, as I was saying to you, the amount of buzzwords that were in it was definitely kind of a rune soupy type nomenclature. But I suppose on hindsight, I was thinking more of a wider kind of magical outlook, like the reenchantment of the world, which I know isn't exactly just a magic thing, but there was a number of things like that, and a number of names mentioned. Eduardo Cohn's mentioned in it, and just kind of go, they seem to be reading or the same things. I suppose is the and it's an interesting kind of overlap that that there seems to be this research. Well, you see, I was going to say there seems to be this resurgence of wanting to re-enchant the world, right? That seems to be like a thing. But is that just because my echo chamber is
that's
full
your
of people?
Algorithm? That's your algorithm, man.
But this is the problem, So that's so I like.
I'll be talking to my dad tonight. Right. I'll ask my dad tonight when I'm talking to him.
It's a re-enchantment of the world going on.
What do you think, Dad? Do you want to recapture the rapture? The fuck you want to go? Imagine.
Yeah. Joe Duffy, 20 quid for something down. It's a disaster. Yeah.
So what do you think? Because I know the answers already know, but this happens every couple of years. That this is the moment when they reveal the truth about the aliens, and it's like, I wouldn't get me hopes up, lads. And I don't know. I was saying to you the other day as well, the Patrick Harper book. I was mad into aliens when the X-Files was out, and when I was young, 16, 17 up to 21, 22 or whatever. I was mad into them, and I used to go out looking for them, fucking dark hills. I'd climb up and fucking sit there and with some young one trying to get me leg over. Aliens would sit here. Would sit here and watch aliens. Yeah, nice one. Mm-hmm. And cool, but I just kind of gone off it, because it's like I've just kind of come to realise, okay, it's a bit like this coronavirus thing. If it's from a lab or not, it's like, okay, if it is, then it is, and it's just okay. How do I handle it in the now? Okay, how is this making a massive difference to my life? Is it? Will it? Won't it? How to react? That's kind of the way I'm looking at it now. And the aliens thing, and then the Patrick Harper thing of how his kind of thing on the aliens. It's it's hard to.
For people who don't know what Patrick Harper's thing on it, it's not nuts and bolts. He's not a nuts and bolts type UFO guy at all. It's that it's all part of the same thing that fairies are. That it's the same thing that the Virgin Mary is. It's the sign of the times how you interpret what you see. So if you were around 200 years ago, you'd say, and you were in Ireland, that was fairies. Or if it was, you were in the Sahara, that was the jinn or whatever, Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I can't bring the sledgehammer to his article because none of this stuff is provable.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I have to I find myself having to go with his take on it, I don't know. Then again, maybe next week they'll just be like, there's people from Uranus and they're hanging out. Or whatever.
The thing that's happening is that they're admitting that there's UFOs, but that's a whole field away from aliens.
So what, Do you know what I mean? That's hey, look, Stevie Wonder's black. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it's
what?
I think it's just because people have become just so incredulous, I suppose, or it's just well, obviously there's something happening, and the more you say there isn't something happening, it's like I was watching this what's it called? The Skinwalker Ranch, the latest episode. And there's this bit. It's not a spoiler, but there's definitely a photograph where there's a blurry fly, right? But there proceeds to be a 15-minute conversation about what this could be, and it's kind of. I've just looked at it going, they know that this is a blurry fly. Like, there's no question. There's no way you can look at this photo and not think it's a blurry fly. But they have to act serious. And I've got, that's kind of what the government has been like with UFOs, where they're kind of going, no, there's nothing. But what about all these videos?
Swamp gas.
Swamp gas. And you're just going, yeah, well, because I suppose there is a security concern if you go, well, something turned off our nuclear reactors and we don't know. Or whatever, or there's something coming into our airspace.
I don't see that as a bad thing, because, like...
Well, it is if part of your function is to protect people, for protect the and you're saying, well, we're spending billions and trillions on military, and someone can just arrive in and go, hello, switching off your nuclear.
Can we not give them the benefit of the doubt? Because there's a 50% chance that they're good,
Oh no, yeah, but it's the admitting that there's something means that you're not the most powerful thing in the world. That's
of course we're not.
No, but that's what a military complex has to project. Or else,
I really struggle. I really struggle to understand the mindset of the American military outlook.
Well, I mean, good. You know what I mean? Well done. Like
Spud's not a fascist. Woohoo!
God. Imagine you did, and you go, well, no, I totally understand that we need to kill all these children in foreign lands.
Blow everything out. We should blow everything out of the skies because we didn't make it.
And same for China, and it's not just there's plenty of terrible military complexes going on in the world, but it's. I don't know. I don't. Why? Because money. That's why. I think it's essentially.
Money. Yeah, it is money. Everything's money. Everything's money. Like, can we not, like, I don't know, can we not just, like, go out and just form semicircles and have little rainbow posters and saying, welcome, E.T. Can we not just be nice to them?
Well, that's what Stephen Greer's doing, essentially. Isn't it? Is it Stephen Greer? That's his name? Yeah. Come. But it's like, what if they're bad guys? And they'd go,
they mightn't be, though. They're probably not.
Well, what if they're bad guys, says the magician who's embedded in a world where we call up demons, actual bad guys. I go,
I don't talk, no.
But no, what do you mean? I'm fine with it. Like, that's called, I'll call up something that'll, possibly want to torture me.
Okay, so
to get 50 quid.
Let's have the nukes ready, okay?
Yeah.
But, like, just don't let, like, Trump near them or Biden or any. I tell you what, don't let an American in charge of the nukes, and we'll probably be fine. Give them to a German. They're reasonable, except for no, God, no, don't do that.
Give them to the aliens. Let them be the arbiters.
Let them decide. Yeah. Don't know, man. It's strange time, interesting times that we live in, and that's good. When is this thing to come out? Soon enough, isn't it?
Oh, well, I don't know. Like, every time I hear a date, and then I go, "Is it a date that's coming out?" It's like, and then I don't know. It's soon. It's the 25th. After the kids sing the song, then there's the announcement.
Strong Britain, great nation.
Welcome the aliens.
Great nation. It has a bit of a ring of the Sex Pistols to it. You could hear Johnny Rotten singing "Strong Britain, great nation."
There's definitely going to be a punk version of it at some point. Yeah. Dance version of it. Father Ted version of it.
I don't know, but that's probably one of my biggest faults is I'm just too hopeful about everything being okay, because the world could be. I'm the dog. I'm the dog sitting among the fire drinking the coffee.
Fine. Yeah,
it's all right. It's fine. Everyone's okay. The aliens are.
I think my thing, and we've discussed it kind of possibly ad nauseum at this point, is that I don't. It's like this kind of idea that we have to fix everything, and then we'll fix everything, and it'll be fine. And I think that's not what this is. This existence is. I think it comes broken. And that's it. That's not to say let's not try and make it a bit better and progress, or without getting into the myth of progress and all that. But
that's exactly what the quote was saying. The Alan Watts thing.
Yeah. So it's like it's going to be broken, and it's like it's easy. As we were always keep saying, it's easy to have the mindfulness awakening experience and that thing in a Zen monastery in the forest when there's no one about. But it's like it's in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of the world falling apart. That's also where the awakening is, and because I was in the car the other day, I was trying to listen to something on the radio, and the wee man's in the back, and he's going insane. Whatever he's doing, he's doing the thing. But like getting for, and I'm trying to listen to the radio, and there's something kind of hit me, and it goes, this is a metaphor for life, in the sense that you're going, oh, awakening, and it's the thing on the radio, and I have to try and ignore everything. And it's going, no, the awakening is the 2.5-year-old screaming.
Yeah.
That's
listen
the
to
thing.
The young fella.
Yeah, that's the actual thing. Rather than going, oh, if he wasn't screaming, I could hear this. It's like, no, the scream is the that's the thing. That's what you're
exactly.
looking for.
Yeah. You're right there. Yeah, because I remember there was it might have been his last video, Uber Boyo's thing about Nietzsche's thing about like stop reading books. Books are useless.
Yeah.
You know, they're just crap. Live life. Learn how to live life properly and live life. Fuck books.
Yeah,
and,
that's the same as Krishnamurti as well. Wouldn't let any of his followers read any or talk about anything spiritual. Nope. I think I like the more I go, I get that.
I get it too. Yeah, because you just confuse yourself with too many things. But then again, you know, you can stumble upon, you know, what did I stumble on there during the week? The perennial philosophy stuff, and I was like, here it is. This is everything all wrapped up in one little thing, and it's all good, and I can go with that. It doesn't seem to be all that popular. Oh, your man Huxley had a book.
Yeah, it's kind of because I just assumed it was a term given to loads of stuff. I didn't really realise that it was like 5 or 6 writers who are part of this group that's you know, in the mid part of the 20th century. I thought it was kind of just a broad term given to essentially, I suppose, Neoplatonism, Platonism, and alchemy, the Renaissance. The kind of like the golden thread. I thought it was another word for that essentially, but it seems to have definite. From that video you shared, which was, oh man, there's some great beards in that documentary. Jesus Christ.
Some great beards. They should all be in post-rock bands, for sure.
Brilliant. You know? But what was interesting about it was that there was like any number of people go, I've never even heard this man's name before.
Yeah.
There was no one in that literally no one. Other than, I've seen that it was definitely a theosophical kind of rhythm to what we're saying and how to talk and all that kind of thing, and of course like the Theosophical Society would be seen as
Huxley did have something to do with them. Although Huxley isn't seen as one of the philosophers of this, he just wrote a book about it.
Yeah, and suppose he got a lot of it wrong.
Apparently.
I'm sure opinions are going to differ on the perennial philosophy.
I mean, look, he's a fiction writer mostly. Okay, he had some spiritual and philosophy stuff as well, but like that wasn't his he was a fiction writer, you know. Yeah, it's really interesting. But, I mean, it is kind of a golden thread stuff, golden line thing as well, in that, like, look, there is, beneath all of these great religions and movements throughout time, there is an undercurrent of what they're all basically trying to say. They just say it in different ways because of, you know, where it, you know, the Abrahamic religions say it in this way because, you know, everyone was living in the fucking desert, so they weren't allowed to eat shellfish. Whereas
it's
the
not
Celts
good
were
to
doing
eat pork
something
because,
differently.
all that stuff. Yeah, it was really interesting at the end of it. We kind of got into a discussion of that thing on Discord. We were saying, where I was kind of having an issue with that all religions point to the same thing. Well, they don't. But it depends on where you look at it. Like, but there is direct, like, the teachings, the exoteric teachings, let's be generous, of the religions don't seem to have the same.
No, don't. Yeah.
But there's a great point in the end of that documentary, and I'll put it in the show description, where he's saying that the problem that I nearly shared this documentary. You know, when you watch an awful lot, you kind of go, was it that
that one?
The problem with the approach to it is thinking that all of these religions are true, but only partially true, and that they can't get to the answer. Whereas the kind of idea is that no, they have access to all the truth in a different way. So it's not you pick the best bits of Islam, the best bit of Christianity, bit of the, you know, I'll take an Asia out of Hinduism and, you know, the tree from Buddhism, put it all together and say, no, by following Christianity, you're still going to get to that place. It has access to all the truth. And it's kind of, well, that's interesting. I kind of, so that it's more pointing at the esoteric kind of thing. But there's a thing about that, though, is that the esoteric kind of understanding of these religions, you're getting into new age woo-woo-woo-ness very quick, because like who's the arbiter of that? There's no books. It's just, you know, there's no it's like you literally would have to go and you know,
there aren't books. I mean, you can find books that are books about the mystics and books about the Sufi mystics,
but it's still going to be
that type of thing.
Their, in a sense, their experience.
Of course, you can't. Like, you can't go down the street and knock on the church door and say, "Look, I'm not into the Hail Mary stuff. I want to talk to the big cheese. Like, I don't have any issue with him. I just want to talk to him because I think I'm part of him and he's part of me. And the monk could be like, what?
Well,
Give me a $5. Fuck off.
It's the milk for babes, meat for men. Is that the thing?
There's something. The chap we were talking about earlier, the recapture, rapture. What's his name? Jeremy something.
James Wheel, isn't that his name?
James Wheel. He has his theory of where religion is going is that it will be what's next will be something completely new. You know, but when has that ever?
He thinks though that it's going to be cults, sound cults. Hold on, just make sure I have the right name. Recaptured or rapture?
Sound cults, like some of the Gnostics started out as
ethical cults.
Right.
That's cult.
Careful.
Cult.
But the thing is that
Jamie
like
Wheel.
Jamie Wheel. So like Christianity came along and it was based on Judaism, which was kind of based on the Egyptian stuff, which was kind of based on the Sumerian stuff, which was kind of based on da 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 da.
Yeah,
maybe. There's always
but like opinions differ on that. Of course.
There's always something it's based on. So like I don't go with this thing that it's going to be something completely new because it'll just have to.
Well, he's
it'll have to build on
an integral man who would. That it's going to, it's going to become the next integral stage. Like what's a pluralistic, whatever is the, it advances but also includes. So whatever that catchphrase that's to have for that, it includes what thing. But if that, I assume that's what it's going to go from.
Well, I presume that should be my way on it. It'll take.
So it's going to be a third tier in integral sense.
But his thing is it's going to be something completely new. Okay, I don't know. Sure, maybe. I don't know. Nothing.
But sure, it can't be. Well, I mean, I don't want to speak from, but it can't be completely new because that's not how we work.
Exactly.
Or unless it's aliens, and then it's like so. You know what I mean? But it's aliens come down and go, oh no, everything's different, lads. We're not doing any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah. You just have all of it wrong. You have all of it wrong.
Yeah, and then explains it to us and or something. But it would have to be that level. Although I suppose we are due a kind of a world teacher at this point, aren't we? Like we need some sort of dude to come down and.
I don't want to do it, Tommy.
No,
do you want to do it?
No, Jesus,
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I could be your second in command, but I'm not. I'm not doing leader.
No, I'm all right. Thanks. But I'll happily go to the meetings and I'll show up. But someone else can lead them. But I know what. No, I mean like an actual like Maitreya or like a master coming down, like a Buddha. Or a Jesus or a Lao Tzu. Like who have we got? Elon Musk. Come on, Jesus Christ.
Oh Jesus! Oh my God! Oh no!
But there's an interesting point about that though. Like Brad Warner when he's talking, I'm going to talk about Buddhism in a second, but he's talking about how to view the Buddha, and saying it's not as a like a holy deity or something like that. It's like the equivalent of someone like a Stephen Hawking, someone who was really, really, really good at this, but he's not. You don't put it on a kind of god tier type of thing. It's just like so. I suppose. It could be possibly.
Yeah, no. I mean, always remember that he left his wife and baby. Always remember that. Do you know? Like, right, don't let that out of your head. Like,
we go into this then. So
let's do it.
Yeah. So the documentary that we were watching this week is called The Buddha. I always, the American thing is the Buddha, right? But the Dalai Lama says Buddha, so I'm going with Buddha because that's how we say Buddha in Ireland. Anyway, so I think. Bud. And it's from 2010. It is a PBS documentary, which I'm not really sure how the public access thing in America goes. I have a vague kind of notion that it's people send money and then they make programs. It's not a national thing, but I don't really know. It seems it's in Sesame Street.
PBS pay for your PBS give you money to make a documentary.
No, it's not like a community, not community based, but at the beginning, this documentary was made by the generosity of Stephen from whatever. The people sending money, and it's kind of so it's like a. Rather than government assisted or business, please someone explain. I assume it's kind of charity wise, but you see it. Anyway, it's done by PBS 2010.
Richard Gere does the voice.
I'll tell you the thing about Richard Gere is like you just think ferrets, right? Like and it must be horrible to be Richard Gere because that's the all this great acting. You're a Buddhist. You've helped the Dalai Lama in many ways, but ferrets is what I think of when I hear your name. Must be awful.
I always think it was Willy because there's some film I saw years ago where like I think it was the first man's Willy I ever saw on telly,
Was
And
it?
so now, so every time I
That's suspicious that you know who the first man's Willie is in the deli. Was like, hey, I've got.
Well, how could I not know? How could I not know? You know what I mean? Like,
I've no idea.
Look,
I'm sure I've seen
man.
many a Willie in deli. I don't know what the first one was.
Yeah, well, no, but I was too young. I was too young to be watching what I was watching, and it was Richard Gere was in this thing. Unless it was Patrick Swayze, and I still mix them up. I don't know which one is which. I haven't a clue. They look the same.
Okay. Do they? I don't. Okay.
Blonde.
But there's like definitely 20 years in the difference, isn't there, or something like that?
I don't know. I don't. I couldn't pick. If you put both, if both of them were standing in front of me, I wouldn't know which. I wouldn't know which is which.
You would.
If you showed me photos now, so. I wouldn't. Yeah, but okay, you're gonna go dig him. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the Buddha.
It's just 2 hour almost documentary of explaining. It doesn't really tremendously go in, I suppose, into the kind of teachings of the Buddha, but it's more his story of who he is, how he came to be, and what happened. And it's a perfect primer, I think, on if you want to know what the story of the Buddha. But it's I don't know what's the best way to talk about it, because I mean, if you just tell the story of it, it's kind of, I suppose, pointless.
Spoilers.
Some spoilers.
He dies at the end.
Yeah. As we all will. Because of Dukkha.
I don't know, where do we start then? Stuff that we didn't know about Buddhism?
No, well, maybe we do it kind of a fairly brief, because we do have to talk about leaving the wife and child, because like, I mean, that's a hugely significant part of
course,
Buddhism. So
there's stuff.
Yeah, go.
Like, okay, so with the leaving of the wife and the child, like,
well, put it in some sort of context. He's a very rich prince who is told, his father's told, that he's either going to be a spiritual leader or a great.
That's a funny one. That kind of, not prophecy. What's the word? Not clairvoyance either. What do you call that when you predict the future? What's that called? What's the proper? It's not prophecy though. Properly though, is it the meaning?
No, but that's.
Okay, prophecy is what people call it. Okay, so I didn't know this. I thought it was the Brahmins had were at a Christian type thing, and
I thought it was an astrological thing. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought that's what. But no, it turns out that it was the mother had a dream that
an elephant.
An elephant came in her belly.
Yeah.
And this elephant just kind of went into her from the side, and it was in her belly. And then she told this to the Brahmins, and the Brahmins were like, yeah, that means your kid is either going to be a great king or a great religious leader. And okay, all right. And then the poor thing died. It was
7 days
very
after.
common, though.
Yeah. So I definitely heard the astrological for that, how it was worked out. So I'm sure maybe there's a number of different kind of, because that's the whole point of saying that in Buddhism, no one cares if the story's true or not. That's kind of very irrelevant. You know, it doesn't have to be based. It doesn't rely on historical fact for the story to be worthwhile. So anyway, he spends...
the thing I was going to say about when he does, we'll get to when he does leave the wife and kid, is that he goes out and he gets his horse and he bolts out of the courtyard. But it says in this film that he leapt over the wall and then Mara, his demon, started tempting him with stuff, saying, "Oh, you should go back to that." And I was like, I've never heard that before. That's bizarre. Okay.
Same. Yeah, I didn't. It seemed a bit more. I
thought the Mara stuff came a lot later.
Yeah, and in a more serious context, you know. But so he spends 29 years being sheltered, basically, from the horrors of human existence, which I'm not sure exactly how. If his mother died 7 days after he was born, how, I suppose maybe he was told he didn't have a mother or something. There seems to be, I don't know, and he's definitely going to see people aging around him in 29 years. Anyway, I'm maybe missing the point of the story in this. So he's sheltered, and his father wants him to never know about the badness of the world, because he wants him to be the emperor rather than the spiritual leader. But he manages to get out one day by the help of this aide who's definitely getting fired once Siddhartha's father finds out that he's been travelling around showing him old people and sick people and dead people. But so he finds obviously that, you know, life isn't what he thought it was, and it kind of hits him like a ton of bricks, and he wants to go find out what's going on, and that gets to the point where he knows he has to leave the palace, and he goes in and he sees his son sleeping with his mother, and he knows if he says goodbye that he'll be attached too much and he won't leave. I mean, the question kind of rises out of that: is it more moral to stay with your kid and be a good father, or is it more moral to go and find the truth? And it's easy in hindsight to go, well, he changed the world, but I'm sure there's plenty of dads who went to find the truth who subsequently didn't. And at this point, there's kind of a thing in it where there is a truth to find, but you have to remember that he didn't know that at that point. No one knew, it was him awakening to it as the first person who, we are to say, awakened to that level. Up until then, we didn't know that was possible, and he didn't know it was possible. He had just kind of had a sense that it was possible. So it's a huge, huge gamble, and somewhat morally questionable, I suppose. There's definitely a question, but like ultimately, it turned out to be the better for humanity. But
it says as well that like he called the boy, didn't he? I'm not sure if he nicknamed him or called him by the proper name, but he called him Fetter, which means like ball and chain. When calling your kid ball and chain, no. So that's his argument was the kid would keep him grounded, but like obviously he didn't like being a dad and just went, fuck this, I'm out of here. But look, now we have to say, because people have given out to me about this before, not given out to me, sorry, I'll take that back. People have put me straight on this. Buddha's young fella grew up to become his first priest, so they did stay in touch. They did stay in touch. He would go and visit him. In this film, it's not mentioned.
It's mentioned that they all die. That entire palace and all the things, they're all killed. And that
that was his family.
Yeah. And he received that news in silence. And the kind of point was even the Buddha, is unable to cope with some of the disasters of humanity. No, don't know if it was directly his wife and his kid, but it's the clan and that all those people and his former life and stuff like that. So. Yeah,
I prefer my one.
I have to say, yeah. But so he goes out and he goes around and he finds some dubious gurus who lead him, don't have the truth that they claim to have the truth, and he's kind of gets a bit despondent and a bit kind of doesn't know what to do, and he hangs out with some ascetics people who really they like the kind of the rooms they're in and stuff, they're well dressed. And they're basically the people, and you see them, there's some great documentaries about them still now in India, where people who do things, I suppose in one sense as an offering to the goddess or the god, but also as a way, it's not, what I'm trying to point out is it's not the same as the Christian people who whip themselves. It's not a punishment for sins. It's a giving up of something in order to attain. So you see a lot of people like the guys who'll hold their... For people who are listening on the radio, I'm holding my hand in the air. It's so they'll hold their hand above shoulder level for 30 years, and not bring it down, or someone of them will say, "I'm never going to lie down," so to sleep standing up, and loads of different things. And you see their hands withering away and all this kind of stuff. The hand must die fairly quickly. So he was hanging out with these guys, and they're eating 1 grain of rice a day, and. That he felt this was... He went
all Bear Grylls. He was drinking his own piss for a while.
Drinking his own piss, really going for it, really getting into it.
Jesus.
But of course, I'm sure it was there was other things.
Proper shadow work, though. Proper shadow work. Yeah. That's what he's doing. Just 2,500 years ago, this is what they did for shadow work. Now we're all fancy dancy and we just go and talk to a therapist who just pretends they listen. But he's not going to prescribe, here, Spud, fucking drink your own piss for a week and see how you get on. Drink a grain of rice. That's shadow work, you wimp.
And next week we're going to advance to scat shadow work. And I'm out.
That's it. No, I don't want to be enlightened. I'd rather... Yeah. But, you drank your own piss. Why would you stop now? Fair enough.
And then he comes in with the cum cakes and go, no. No, thank you.
Reveals his 93 tattoo.
Love is the law.
Oh, God.
But he caves in anyway. Al Cid, and some local girl gives him a load of milk or rice, something. It depends. Stories kind of different that. And he's obviously just sick and tired of being on a diet for 5 years. This Weight Watchers do nothing for me. And so he sees that that's probably not the way forward because he's not getting the truth he wants. And then there's this kind of momentum moment where he says, right, I'm not sitting under this tree and I'm not getting up. In some stories, I'm not getting up until I have the truth of what's going on. in this story, it's kind of mentioned, well, maybe he got up and, went to the toilet or went
Had
to
a
bed.
poo.
Yeah, or something. He mightn't just have sat there the whole time. Spoil the story, man. But I think that the kind of emphasis there is that this guy is a human. They're trying to constantly stop him deifying it. Like, that's just a guy. So he had to get up, meditate, and he has to pee, he has to stretch his legs, all of these human things that you have to do. But one of the greatest moments in spiritual stories for me is that the whole Mara thing. I just think it's so brilliant, and Spud has absolutely and utterly gladdened my heart by putting a U in Mara and calling it Mora. And Mora would be very much an Irish name that you just can't really take that seriously in the context of a demon, or depends on your experience of Moras, I suppose. But
Mora has one of those, those push bags that the ladies bring their shopping in, and it's tartan and has 4 wheels at the bottom, but one of them is a bit wobbly. She has a walking stick as well that she hits passing dogs with when the owner's not looking. Bit of a wagon is Mora, Not the nicest.
Always has coupons at the loads of them.
Blue hair every Tuesday at 11 down at Karen's salon.
And when you're in the church, she's the one that sings or says the prayers.
Sings the loudest,
including the priest's sections. Of the
she even says the old version of the prayers just to show she's holier. Yeah. I'm sure you've all met Mora. Anyway, any number of them. But anyway, she arrives 2,500 years ago in the Bodhi tree. But the whole it's the notion of that he's trying to, and the devil tempts him. It's a similar kind of story, and it's obviously it's part of it's a stage, because it's the devil tempting Jesus in the desert. It's the same. He goes off for the 40 days until he finds whatever he needs to find. It's the Buddha's doing the same. It's possibly crossing the abyss, we might say. Opinions different that, of course. I wrote down here, so Mara is this ruler of desire, because desire is the root of all our dukkha, our unsatisfactionist. And I just wrote down, she's like Kingsley's fucking Aphrodite then, because desire makes you fall in love with the material world.
Yeah, it's similar. It's the kind of, and the way out of it in Kingsley's thing is that it's strife that gets you out of it, because it's strife that makes you realise that you're being kind of sucked into, or you're in love with this place.
Whereas Buddha's thing was just seeing through it,
just see, and it's like, because the whole thing, he Mara arrives and goes, oh, you can have whatever you want, don't be at this, come on. And Buddha puts his hand down to the ground, and there was definitely thunder at that point.
For sure, 100%. Thunder, lightning, very, very frightening.
Has a bit of a smurf in his face, and just goes, I see you, Mara. And it's just, that's just so brilliant. I mean, I remember the first time I heard that, and I went, now we're talking. That's just so perfect, And of course, once he's seen that there's no power,
Do you use it? I use it a lot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's a thing.
See you, Mara. Fuck off.
I see you. I see you, and it's so helpful. So helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially mindfulness. I mean, if you want, but there's something in the whole.
There's something in naming it. There's something in naming it and giving it this kind of bad name, this evil name. Like,
I see
fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah. Brilliant. So it's then or shortly afterwards, anyway. He's allowed to.
Oh, he even sent his daughters, Mara, the dirty pimp. Try and tempt him. It's like, okay, how does he have daughters? What the hell is going on here? Because like, he could have just opened his eyes at any moment and says, no, they're not real. So like, why are you tempting me with these?
Well, I assume
pussies?
It's fantasies, and he's starting getting sexual thoughts, and then because he hasn't had a shufty in a couple of weeks at this point, because it's shufty. Jesus Christ. So anyway, soon after Mara is seen, there is the proper awakening experience, and it's the allowing that to happen, and the realization that it can happen, and that all of these, and he discovers that why the world is the way it is, why human beings are the way they are, and what to do about it, which is the Four Noble Truths. Which, if you want to know more about, we have a whole podcast about it, so you can go check that out. And then he goes out as a wandering teacher, and
he does the lion roar first, which I thought was hilarious.
He does the what?
He did the morning after his enlightenment. He woke up and roared like a lion.
Nice.
So I wonder, how did that sound like? I would love to know what like a northern Indian man roars like, after sitting under a tree for God knows
It's
how
like,
long.
oh, Jesus, my legs are asleep. Oh, oh Christ. Rubbing his legs, pins and needles. Jesus.
Jesus, fucking not doing the half lotus again. God, I'm in bits. Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah.
if you have any, because I obviously am in Poland, I don't have any Indian friends, but if you have any Indian friends, ask them to roar for you today to find, and we can compare them to see what it would sound
what
like.
you
I'd
should
love to
do
know
is
what the
get
Buddha roared
them,
like.
to roar now, and then get your Indian friend to also have an awakening and compare the roars and see is there a quality difference between the two. I'll say one thing though, there's something absolutely amazing about a lion's roar when you hear it in real life, like when you're at the zoo or something and you hear that deep bass kind of rumble to wow. Oops, yeah. A trail of brownness behind me as I run.
God, fucking horrific, huh? Yeah, there's some great lines in this. Like he says something like, after he did his manly lion roar, he says, "As I see the morning star," he says, "all things and I awaken together." It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yes,
I like that.
that's gorgeous. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And because that's it's now there's the possibility of all beings being able to awaken because he did this, because he got, it's that up until that point were to assume that no one had awakened before, and that it's now a possible thing that has been brought into existence because someone knows.
Must have though. There must have been others, but anyway, it doesn't really matter, I suppose.
No.
The poet,
even if there was others, the story of the Buddha is the first person. So it plays in whatever context you want, I suppose. But it's although they do say there's probably pretty definitely a historical dude, but they say that about Jesus, and there's like 3 sentences that they base that on, or 3. Well, maybe that, I don't know. I'm not a historian. Maybe that's all you need. I don't. It's okay.
Maybe. The poet lady, she's good in it. She says that Buddhism is not about being special; it's about being ordinary, and everyone you see on the street could be a Buddha. She does this thing. Hello, Buddha.
Yeah.
Buddha. Buddha, Buddha, and it's like,
not you, Buddha.
The video on repeat. What happened here? She keeps saying Buddha, Buddha. Yeah. It's like that. I remember telling you months and months and months ago, which might even have been a year ago. I remember saying to you, I was trying this thing on the street because people here on the street don't really smile. It's just a cultural thing. They just don't. Doesn't mean people are friendly. People are friendly, of course they are. But it's a thing. You just don't really smile in shops or smile out when you're walking or whatever. But so I was trying to do this thing to lighten up my kind of walk. I would imagine myself high-fiving everyone as I walk by. It was great. You're walking down the street, you just go, high five. Next person, high five. Next one, high five. I mean, how could you not have?
But do you notice you're actually saying it and people are going, what the fuck? Fuck is going on? High five!
Fucking, what's this Irish fella at? There's one Irish fella here and he's fucking batshit. Why did he have to move here, the fucking nutter? But it's the same as this. I mean, it's like saying you can look at everyone and just say, "Yep, you could be a Buddha. You might be a Buddha. You might be the Buddha." He's in all of us.
The Stuart Wilde one of sending love into everyone's heart as you pass them, or something that it's obviously an old type thing, but it's lovely, and it's something that I do and then stop doing, and then every time I do it again, I go that I'll tell you, I know why I stopped.
You see some local...
and you go, and then one day you're just in bad form and go, fuck you, I'm not fucking putting love in your heart, prick.
You see some local scobies in their Adidas tracksuits sitting on a bench drinking cans of Druid cider, and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah, but again, that's the awakening.
That's the test. That's the test. I know. You're supposed to do it. But then you can do it and not mean it, which is worse.
Yeah, well, that is. Your man Robert Turman, whatever you pronounce it, the guy who has the really weird beard. He's the wee small thing. He's Uma Thurman's dad, in case you didn't know that.
I didn't know.
He's in loads of Buddha stuff. He's any amount of documentary, and he used to have a great series of lectures on Netflix, but it's not on it anymore. He's an interesting kind of a guy. Overall, I liked it. I think. The Dalai Lama comes in, and I just love his voice. I love how he speaks. It's so good. I won't do a really racist impression of him, but I can in my head. Is it racist if you're doing a kind of an impression? I suppose it is. I don't know. Anyway.
If you have to ask, if you have to ask, Tommy, we had this. Yeah. Look, something that I really like about the whole idea of Buddhism is that, like, from the start, Buddha was like telling everyone, "No, look, like, be skeptical. Like, don't believe me. Like, do it yourself."
Yeah.
that's brilliant, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the fact that he had female nuns as well, even though he kind of he did hum and haw about it for a while. If you read more into it, he wasn't quite sure if he should go with it. But yeah, thankfully then in the end he did, because he's like.
Well, what was his reasoning though, that he altruistic in the sense if he didn't think people would take it seriously, or was a misogynist?
No, it's not that I'm a misogynist. He was more kind of scared for their safety and stuff, because at the time they didn't have they didn't really have a base to live at. They eventually built a monastery, but like for the first couple of years it was just them kind of just fucking hanging around forests, you know. Ducking under banana trees when it rained heavy in the monsoon season. Well, they would return to places for the monsoon season and that, but they didn't really have anywhere. So he was more kind of, this is what the thing I read on it, he was more kind of scared for their safety and stuff. But like, that's another thing about him as well, is that I was listening to some podcasts talk about, you know, like not to deify him and that, like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, his teaching is great, but like, he wasn't the perfect man, because like, you know, at the time, like these lads, they were running from bandits. You know, people were trying to kill him. You know, like, do you think he didn't swear like a docker? Of course he did. You know what I mean? Like, are you serious that he was just in this constant pose of equanimity and peace and happiness and bliss? It's like, no, someone fucking shooting arrows at you, you're going to be annoyed.
Yeah, and I think that's his point, isn't it? Like, that's the whole middle way of that. It's, you know, be human because you are human, and it's not the negation of desire or becoming perfect. It's about living in, you know, the bad, and it's, you know, but it's, I suppose, being more skillful about it is kind of a sense of. But
isn't that the thing, like that all kind of Westerners seem to get wrong with it? You know, it's about the elimination of desire and killing the ego. Yeah. It's not. It turns out it's not that at all.
Well, I mean, and it's the old point, and it's mentioned in this documentary as well. But what about the desire to get rid of desire? I mean, come on, Catch-22 ever? Yeah.
No, it's like you know, don't ever Google. You know.
yeah. Don't Google.
Jesus.
You can Bing, but that's fine. But don't Google.
There's some other good stuff as well, like this thing about, you know, striving on tirelessly. That's be your own light, even though. When he was dying, then he said, you know, be your own light, and even though you don't have a teacher, or you won't have a teacher when I die, like the Dharma is your teacher, follow that. Like, okay, cool, we can do that. Yeah, it's great. I love that. That there was a religion set up where they're like, you don't have to put these people on pedestals or anything like that.
And even though you have to, don't. And then of course
then they do, obviously.
Yeah. But that thing, like the be your own lamp or whatever, there's many different kind of translations of it or whatever. It's just like, you know, it's like the polar opposite, I suppose, in a sense of what religion I grew up in which is you cannot be your own lamp. You know what I mean? That you have to bow to authority.
Yeah, this thing about, like, even in the nice teaching, it's like, well, Jesus is the shepherd and you're the sheep. It's like, hold on now. I don't like that. Yeah. You know, there's a Welshman over there looking at me. No, don't want to be a sheep. No, but you know, like, it's a weird one. Religions are very strange, that they just upend stuff.
Well, I suppose the thing to say is that going back to what we were talking about earlier, in that still leads you to the truth. And it has to be remembered in the context. That is not to forgive the sins of a religion in all ways. Oh, it's fine, you know, and the atrocities and all that's fine. That's definitely not what I mean. But in the context and the life and all of that, in that someone might need to be a sheep in order to get to give themselves the authority, in a sense, to get to where they want to be. Where other people are going to go, no, thank you, I'm going to be over here with my own lamp. Thanks very much. But to kind of force either of those things on people isn't going to get them to where you need. Like, no way for you will ever get to awakening by being shepherded. It's just, you know, in that kind of, because you won't, because you'll react to it and you'll go against it. Yeah. And there's no way, I don't know, Maura from down the road is ever going to be our own lamp or whatever. You know what I mean? It's. But
what is it then? So then it's that. So if she's never going to become her own lamp by following teachings that she thinks she should be following, what's her choice then? Her choice is just like, okay, she lives as good as she can, and then in the next life, hopefully reincarnated, and then does it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's the idea that all religions have access to the full amount of truth, and I'm just trying to. Okay. I'll preliminarily agree with that.
Yeah,
And,
but surely
I
there's a
don't
thing
know.
of like you have to do your own work in it rather than just.
I
following
assume so. I assume so, and I mean, it has to be that crossover at some point. If you get to the truth, you have to go from the exoteric to the esoteric.
Yeah.
You have to.
When did you probably know this? When did this whole idea of the Bodhisattva come into Buddhism? Because he never mentions anything like that.
No, I'm not really sure. It seems more a Tibetan thing, but that could be just Tommie not being right. But it's. I suppose it's born out of ultimate compassion, right? And it's out of the questions that arise out of this. Well, if I'm awakened, do I just fuck off now? You know, see you, lads.
Bye.
And so the question arises, well, that seems not compassionate. That feels like that wouldn't be part of Buddha nature to do that. So what would be? Well, let's help everyone. And given that we've all said in this moment we've all awakened, that there is this kind of sense that it's happening. It's happened anyway. So you're just kind of. If you're awakened, time doesn't exist anyway. So it's your, but it's a vow you make anyway. It's that I'm going to hang around until everyone, no man left behind. That's essentially it in Buddhist terms, and help whoever needs help afterwards.
Is that desire though?
Of course it is. Yeah, it's a desire to let all beings
desire to help.
awaken.
Of course. Yeah,
it's not the desire.
It's quite noble.
It's clinging to the desire.
Yeah, it's quite noble, but it's like, whoa, Jesus. I mean, if you were given the chance, do you want to go up the ladder, or
that's the thing. It's not mandatory. It is your choice, because that also has to be the compassion is in the choice.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like, what the fuck would you do? Because you imagine, like, you're just
Can
like,
you imagine? Go, nah. I just have everyone just go, seriously. I'm not going to do it.
Spud. You're literally the first in a million years to say no. What the fuck is your problem? I didn't know how to say what, but like,
that's not really a choice if I have no choice. How dare you? All you ascended masters up here pretending I have a choice.
It's like, strawberries and cherries are everywhere here at the minute, and it's like, there's a bowl usually after dinner when we just demolish them with the kids. When there's two left, you always have to leave them for them, and you're just like, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
How mean is that? Huh? Obviously, I'm joking. I love my children. They're a source of great inspiration.
Yeah. And teaching me an awful lot.
I have been learned so much by a 5 and 3 year old. Cheers to grow quickly. What the fuck? Shut up, will you? Sound like an outfit.
He'll be in mass soon. Telling the priest how to say his prayers.
It's it's a good documentary. Check it out. If but like I don't know, like it's a primer, isn't it?
Yeah,
if you don't know much about it.
It's on YouTube, and I noticed on YouTube there's a 3-hour version. So I don't know if that's someone injecting other stuff into this documentary or whether there is an extended version of it. But the quality's pretty bad. But on certain sites on the internet, you can find a HD version of this.
Right.
Yeah. So
I didn't watch the HD version.
Oh, did you?
My eyesight's shite anyway.
It was the HD version.
I know. But then you sent me the YouTube link, and I'm like, yeah, obviously I'm going to watch the YouTube. I'm not downloading stuff. I have to save the internet, save the whales and the other spiders and stuff. The Dalai Lama was on about every sentient being has this possibility of awakening, which is kind of nice, because I'm like, caught a fly. I can't even kill flies anymore. I get this big pint glass with a plastic one, and I shove it up against the window and stick some paper underneath it, and I walk him outside, and I'm like, ha, maybe he's awake. What if this is his moment?
I did that yesterday and cut off one of his legs. I was like, I've made it worse.
Oh no,
I've made it worse. He's
going to be one of those Vietnam vets now. Yeah, man.
It's all right. He gets some money from the government, the big government, just to survive. Workers' comp.
Yeah, you can't really say much bad about Buddhism anyway. It's a fairly cool religion, except for the nationalists, the baddies who are killing people over in Cambodia. Is it where the war is going on? There are nationalists. It blows my mind that there are nationalist Buddhists who kill people.
But of course there is. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. But of course there is. Of course there is.
Definitely evil Buddhists. Of course.
Yeah.
The thing with you can't dispute Buddhism, because what it's saying is true, and if you can't kind of that's an interesting point. No, I mean it's plainly true. The kind of criticism you could possibly have of Buddhism is that it's maybe not always practical in the sense of that you can go, well, the reason why you're suffering is because of your clinging to your wanting things to be different. And it goes, right, that's fine, but my life is fucking awful. And it's, and of course, if I just decide and I'm able to decide that my life isn't awful, then I'll be happy. Yes. How? What I mean?
Can you get me there?
Yeah.
I'll even join your Patreon. I'll give you $5 a month.
$5 a month, yeah. But so, like, obviously, if you can not want what, but just be okay with what's going on, in that very Taoist kind of way of, go with the flow. And I hate that.
Go with the flow, man.
If the thing around you, it doesn't annoy you, and you can allow yourself not to be annoyed by it, or not to struggle with it, not cling to it and all that, then you're going to be happy. But, obviously, there's no question that. But it's easier to do in certain circumstances. Which I suppose, I don't think the Buddha said any different, to be honest. So, but the reason for your unhappiness is not the circumstances, it's your attitude towards it, which can be just really, really turned into cruelty in a sense, in a new age way, which you have to be kind of careful of, because it's like, you're the problem. No.
Yeah, no, that's
resistance
nonsense.
is the problem,
well, it's not that it's nonsense. Sometimes you are the problem, but but you have to, you need to be brought to a place to see.
Yeah. It's unhelpful, and it's not compassionate to say that to someone in a terrible situation. It's like it's the same as someone going, like, say, oh, someday you look back at this and laugh and go, have some sense. Don't say that to people. Jesus Christ. No,
it was really funny how my cat flew out of the window and then all my family died in the car crash. Shut up.
Yeah.
No, that's horrible. No, I don't think that's compassionate, though.
Oh, it isn't.
To do that to people.
No, it's definitely not. No, I would completely agree. I don't think there's an ounce of compassion in that. Although there could be in, I suppose, the intention. But it's unskillful, to put it in Buddhist terms.
Yeah.
It's unskillful action. But I think, like, there's probably a good chance I'm just going to end up being a Buddhist, right? I mean, it seems to be, once I think still there's a whole glamour around, I suppose, magic and awakening and all that, but it's ultimately like, I have 60 more books to read, but I think I've already read the book I need. I think I know the answer, but it's like, no, I need 60 more books just in case.
Well, I mean, the thing with it, I was saying to you before, is that, like, they have the 2,500 years of research on this. So they have the books. You know what I mean? So, like, if you say pick, I don't know, you like the sound of the Golden Dawn, and you go with that, like, okay, cool, but that only lasted for what, 20, 30 years. Like, this is 2,500 years of books and
thinking, just people pulling it apart,
philosophers and just incredibly smart people who went at it. But, like, but at the same time, it's not for everyone. If
certainly not.
What you're after. If that's not what you're after, that's not. How could you not have? How could you be into the stuff that we're into and not have a soft spot for Buddhism?
No, well, I've said it from day one. Says anyone who gets into chaos magic is going to be a Buddhist at some point. You just are. I mean, you're going to flirt with it. You're going to, you're going to hang out, and there's no way you can't not. I think, and it seems to be. I don't know. You end up gravitating towards it at some point. But maybe
it's just so helpful. It's so helpful because they have the methods and the meditation. Like, even the thing of, like, so like over here in the West, like we think of Vipassana, that's just the mindfulness stuff, and then you can do the insight after that. But, like, the proper Buddhist stuff is like, okay, you start Vipassana, but then, like, there's 60 or no, sorry, not 60, 30 levels of concentration you have to get to first before then you go into the insight stuff. Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah, I mean, any amount of lists, any amount of, of, like, so much help, like, just the Four Noble Truths, and then there's 60,000 other lists that can help you in any different, the four fetters, the 72 nuns hanging upside down, the 16.
Well, what happened though? Like, bananas. if you like, I wonder what way does the hierarchy of a temple? I don't even know what the religious places are called. I think there's only 2 in the whole of Poland, to be honest. But like, say, like, if me and you rocked up to one place now, and they're like, right, well, you're an initiate, you start here, and then we're like, well, actually, no, don't ever say well, actually. But, like, well, actually, is there a test where they're like,
I think you'll find.
Is there a test where they'll be like, no, you don't have to worry about all this stuff. You can bump up with the cool lads. Well, you can sit at the back of the bus.
There certainly would be in the Zen tradition, because they'll they'll test you out and they'll know very quickly where what your understanding of the creation is and all that, and you know. Zen's mad because some of the stories you hear of, like, there's a guy rolled up to the monastery and the monk was there and I want to talk to the head monk and he's going, no, and he goes, right, lobs off his arm, give him this. And your man goes, all right, he took his arm off, right, I can't send him in, he seems like and then there's no mention ever again of your man with the arm off. It's just like, yeah, and he awoken, he had an awakening experience and now runs his own monastery. All right, one-armed Jim from
fair enough,
Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit like you as well, because I'm like, it's kind of like it's kind of like you want to commit to something, you know?
Yeah.
But then I don't want to wear robes and be
you don't have that.
Food.
But that's the monastic. Like, I mean, they're secular.
Yeah, no, I know that too.
And you can completely, if people are so think, completely take the any kind of religiosity from Buddhism. Although you can definitely make a claim that it's not a religion, it's a philosophy. But Stephen Batchelor has a series of books which is essentially doing that, which is secularizing Buddhism, completely taking out any of the kind of woo-ness or whatever. But there's a danger in taking, as we've discussed before, there's a danger in taking Buddhism out of context, or particularly the practices out of context.
Yeah.
But Stephen Batchelor doesn't fall for that, at least in my kind of understanding of the couple of books I read of him. But yeah, it's just, I know what you mean. Like, there's kind of a, because that thing I was saying to you before, but there's something, to use my Gia sense, something that's already the case, okay? And that it's saying in that I feel that towards Buddhism, that there's something previous. Not previous in the sense, not reincarnation or that, but that I know it. I've always known it. There's that kind of familiarity or sense, and then there's this kind of, yeah, but there's a shiny thing over here, right? I'm just going to look at the shiny thing for a while. And then you come back and then you go, oh, yeah, no, I was doing this. Yeah, grand, right. Look at that shiny thing.
Yeah. I wonder what is that? Yeah. When you're just distracting yourself from...
It's Mara. And you don't see it in time.
It probably fucking is.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Mara. Stupid. With your tartan bag and your mask. She wears a mask and doesn't cover her nose. Yeah. And she doesn't wash her hands going into places, and she only pays in cash. Always dirty fivers.
Dirty cash,
wipes her nose and.
Never got married. Never married. Lived with her brother for a while. That was strange. There's stories about that.
Yeah, we all definitely know. Yeah. Mara used to run the Stations Across every Tuesday and Thursday there in the month of May, and October is the other one, isn't it? Stations
Across. Does a bit of cleaning in the church as well. Does a bit of cleaning in the church.
Yeah, not much though. She mostly just kind of hits the other women who do it.
She mostly does looking like she's cleaning to be seen. And she's had her hands blessed so she can give out the communion. And it's all straight up to the priest before the first bell, right?
Yeah, she's first.
This is the most Irish thing that people go, what?
But anyone who is Irish is just like, yeah, I know this woman. I know she's best. She's not best mates with me ma, but she knows me ma because they go to the same fucking hair salon. And she's a bitch. Right, Tommie, we'll go.
Yeah. Bye.
See you, man. Bye.